Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I've got the meeting launched, so the meeting is open now. Hmm. Yeah. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Uh, let's see here. All right, so here is coming the Zoom invitation. There you go. Sent that. And then I'm going to send you the attendee one too, which is the public one. And I don't know if that's any easier for you to get in. Okay, so I sent the attendee one too, which that one is like your guest, but then once you come in, I can turn you into what you need to be. Yes. Do you need me to send that again? Okay. So that's the PowerPoint that the Doug and Lorna from HR are going to do. Yeah. Well, they're going to project it on the screen anyway. Um, hmm. Well, the fiber's coming soon. Apparently, do you have CenturyLink? What do you? Yeah, I have CenturyLink. Mine's pretty good, except for it'll kick me out of Zoom when the phone rings. Other than that, it's good. Mhm. Mm. Mm. Do you have an old computer? Mhm. Yeah. Well, maybe you should get a new one. I know you don't want to, but get a laptop. Don't keep the. Oh, okay. That's what I have. I have my laptop, and then I have the county laptop. Mm-hmm. Yes. As soon as we buy them, I think they're kind of obsolete. Same thing with the cell phones. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get the phone calls. Luckily, they don't have my email. Other places sell our information to them, probably. And Facebook spies on us. I don't get it. I look at it, but I don't do it. I don't post a whole lot. Yeah, I'll look at like my friends and stuff and say, "Oh, isn't that cute?" I don't even like their pictures a lot of times because then it shows I was there. No. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last one I sent, that one is like a public one, so I don't know if that would be easier for you to link into. Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed you can. Okay. Okay. All right. Bye.
Do you hear me, Lisa?
I definitely do hear you.
Good, good.
So you made it. Awesome.
Now, wait a minute, I gotta shut up. Uh-oh, what happened now?
Well, I hear you.
Oh, gosh, what happened? Oh, come on. Thing. Jump back. Okay.
Hi, Catherine. How are you?
I'm pretty good if I can get this crazy computer to act right.
Good luck. Lisa, did you forward out the position profile? Lauren had said that she'd sent that. I'm just transitioning from another meeting, so I'm not sure. It was a late scramble.
I have it, but I didn't send it out. The girl that sent it to me said you wanted me to have it for the meeting. So
Well, I thought that, yeah, the whole point of giving it to you was so that you could send it to the advisory board, just so they would have that. So
I can do that.
I guess my instructions weren't clear. Again, I'm usually I'm multitasking, right? I'm in a meeting thinking about other meetings.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to email you and ask you because I didn't want to bother you.
No, well, that's fine. No worries. It's everybody's trying to get it all done here.
Yeah, but I've got it here. I'll send it out to the advisory board right now.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Sure.
Hi, Mary.
Hey there. I just came home for the meeting because otherwise I would have been at school until 5. And one of the teachers at school said she went to go get gas at lunch and she had to go to 5 different gas stations before she found one that was not sold out.
Yeah, a fellow co-worker and I are angsting because we're worried about being able to get home.
Yeah, my daughter just called me with the same worry, and not sure what she's going to do.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I think I have enough to get home, but then I can't go anywhere.
Oh,
So
You
it was
last night. I thought last night.
It's one of those things that you think, okay, well, I'll get gas later. And apparently, Lisa told me this whole thing was announced on Saturday.
Well, the hack of the Colonial Pipeline is not a new issue. The impact on our local gas station supply, I think, is brand new. And again, I've been in meetings all day, so I have not been tracking it. But I heard that there was an announcement this morning. The governor has declared. I see Diantha nodding her head, and that has created, a run on the bank. And so that's kind of what we're experiencing, is that all the gas stations have kind of just sold out because the governor declared a state of emergency.
That's what I understand. And it was interesting because I had to run an errand. I actually had a meeting this morning, and I noticed that at 11 o'clock this morning, there was a line at every gas station I passed. Happened fast.
I mean, I have a Prius and I have about 145 miles until I'm empty. So I can make it a while, but my husband drives a minivan and we normally have to gas that twice a week because we go to Richmond twice a week. And, before you know it, you're like, maybe we're not going to Richmond this week.
This takes me back to the 70s when I was in college, and you all remember the gas lines? It's not pretty.
I remember the lines, and also we're assigned days.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think this
it
will
was,
last that long. I mean,
well, I remember it was odd even on the number of the license plate.
That's it.
The
Yeah.
last digit of your license plate, whether it's odd or even, is when you could go get gas.
because to get at what you all were just saying, I was commuting from Stanton to Harrisonburg to teach school. And it was like, oh, no, not good. But I don't, surely this isn't going to last that long. I mean,
I like your optimism.
Yeah, me too. As I'm trying to, go on vacation on Saturday. So
well,
I need gas to go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm stuck right now. I got what I got. So
to be perfectly honest with you, though, it does bring home, we need to update our software, our infrastructure,
Yeah.
and all those things that we have been putting on for decades because they cost money. I'm just saying.
preach, come on, preach, Diane. I hear you.
No, I'm just saying it is about
No,
infrastructure.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right.
We were almost 2 decades behind Europe in putting chips on our cards because it was going to cost the banks money to put chips on cards. And that's a security system. That was a security risk. All these people that, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop. I'm going to mute myself.
I'm with you, Diantha.
I had to. Oh, Catherine, you're sharing your screen.
Oh, Catherine,
Well, it keep going and coming.
well, you're sharing
something
your
to
Yeah, yeah. You want to talk her through how to unshare?
Yeah. Catherine, do you see a little button down at the bottom that says share screen? Well, now for you, it'll look like it has a little X, or actually,
It might be at the top of your screen.
Yeah, look on top, and it says something like you're.
Stop share.
Say stop share.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Then it jumps, joined the meeting and it jumps back. My computer's crazy. It's been crazy all week.
At least it doesn't need gas.
Thank God it doesn't need gas. And I just told Lisa my car is full of gas, thank goodness. For now.
Well, you know what? You could probably sell some of that gas and make some good money.
We're all going to Catherine's house.
Oh, no. I had a car trouble last week, so I don't need any more trouble.
But you know, the good thing is that at least now we can use Zoom to have our meetings.
right.
So
Exactly.
that's right.
So it is after 3:30, and I believe that Jenny may not be joining us today, so I might need to run the meeting. And since I don't do that regularly, if there's something I need to do or I forget to do, please just tell me because it will not hurt my feelings. So I don't think that we have a quorum. We have to have 4. Is that right?
Oh, we do have 4. Oh, no, we don't. You're right. No, we don't. Yeah, we don't have a quorum.
Okay,
Lisa,
so
we need 4 for a quorum.
Yes, because that position's vacant. Otherwise, we need 5.
okay, so then we can wait to approve the minutes. Do you want to do introductions?
Sure.
Great, Phyllis, you want to start?
Yeah, and also what I'm just going to share that when Lorna and Doug start, I'm going to hop off of the meeting so that you all can say whatever you want to say about what you want in a new director. So, yeah, so I'm Phyllis Savitas, with Director of Social Services, and then I'll just go by the screen. Lisa?
I'm Lisa Jordan, Albemarle County DSS.
And advisory board members, would you also share with, well, Doug already knows, but with Lorna, what district you're from? So Catherine?
Oh, I'm Catherine Burton from the Salmon Miller District.
Doug?
Doug Walker, Deputy County Executive.
And Mary?
I'm Mary McIntyre and I represent the Rio District.
And Supervisor McKeel?
Diantha McKeel, Jack Jewett District, and I'm going to hop off when Phyllis hops off.
Lorna?
Lorna Jerome, Director of Human Resources for Albemarle County and Albemarle County Public Schools.
Good. Come on.
Wanda? You're muted.
Wanda Horman, I am Assistant Director.
And Amy.
Amy Lawfer, Urbana District.
Great. So I don't know if you all had a chance to read the informational items before the meeting. I do apologize for the late submission. So I'm happy to entertain questions, and then I'll turn it over to Doug and Lorna and say, see you next month. Does anybody have any questions? We had quite a few robust information items this month.
I do, but I'm happy to go last. Catherine or Amy, do either one of you have any questions?
I don't think so. I read through them.
I just had two things. One is, so all of the eligibility workers are not going to be working from the office. How many is that? Just out of curiosity.
Ooh,
I think
Wanda?
it's 42-ish.
Wow. That is a lot of space then, because I was just wondering like how.
Well, some of those are over at UVA, so take those out, probably about 34-ish.
Okay. Are they going to be compensated for their gas, or were they always being compensated? Just feel.
They're not, they're going to be teleworking, meaning primarily always at home.
Okay.
And so there will be no gas. There was never any gas reimbursement or anything like that. What we found out was while they were home, we were able to do a 400% increase in caseload.
Wow.
During the beginning of the pandemic. And they have proven that they are very efficient getting the work done. I think, some of the chatter in the office, distractions with other things going on has made them much better at efficiencies. If we could just get some of the technology things that we're still working on resolved, it's going to be better for everybody, including our customers.
Yeah. Actually, my son is on the waiver, and I know they came to our house. I always thought they would get reimbursed for doing these home visits.
Oh, the waiver things you're talking about for the screening of the waivers,
Yeah.
that would have been the adult services group doing that.
Oh, okay.
So that's not the eligibility part of it. That would be the people doing the paperwork and the confirming that the screening is necessary. Then it's the person doing the calculations and determining if they're eligible or not. That's the eligibility benefit side of the job. So that's a shared type thing. But yes, anybody that's doing any home visits are reimbursed, but eligibility is not required to do face-to-face interviews nor home visits.
Okay.
they're either reimbursed or they use a county car.
Right.
All right. I just had one other thing. Maybe it's for later, but Sarah Davis in the notes, I had put to be the idea that when in the notes, it says Sarah shared that the challenge with adoption cases is that once the funding reverts to subsidy funding, case managers from therapeutic foster care or home agencies are no longer involved with the families. And I had asked if that's something we should lobby about, maybe having, I don't know. So I'm just putting it out there again, if there's any discussion about how to help these families stay with one manager, if that makes sense. Does this make sense to anybody?
Yes,
It's
it
on the
does.
third page.
And it's a state issue, which also may be driven by federal policy, because the subsidy funding is a combination of federal and state. And so what I can do is research whether it is indeed coming from the feds or whether it's just a state-driven policy. It's certainly not a local policy. So I can research some of that.
If it's not too difficult. It's only like, should we try to advocate for different funding? And that's it.
I wanted to go back to eligibility workers teleworking. I do think that when the building opens and we start to get customers coming into the building, there might be some, plan to have someone in the office, one day a week or something like that. But in terms of their own personal work, yes, they'll be doing it from home. And so it really has freed up a significant number of offices.
And parking places.
and parking places.
And gas. Um,
It has enabled us,
Yeah.
frankly, to not move our voter registrar's office, and it saved the county hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what otherwise would have been, off-siting voter registrar because of the lack of space, particularly the lack of parking with all of the early voting. I think Virginia still allows early voting. Is that right? No, I'm sorry, that was a little editorial. It's a gift that keeps on giving in terms of increased productivity and cost savings, not just for social services, but for other departments who use that space. And we're trying to be very thoughtful about how it is that we actually provide for space at social services for employees when they come in without everybody having to have a dedicated space. That's where it really space gets eaten up. So we can do some what's called hoteling or space sharing. That's going to be very, very efficient.
Yeah, we're having banked offices in the eligibility section.
Yeah.
So that if we have new employees or training needs or a performance related issue or somebody that can't work from home for a month because of whatever reason, there will be a designated space within the office that's still eligible for eligibility to sign up. There's gonna be 5 offices. And so that'll keep plenty of opportunity for us not to, if we need to, they can come back into the office. And then we're also planning on having one of our positions in the office predominantly all the time, mostly to handle any kind of a customer walk in that like it has a Medicaid emergency. We have a process for that. So there will be some availability for an eligibility worker for those customers. But predominantly, if they come in and complain, they're going to be directed to the phone bank to contact their worker. And we're now giving out all of the workers' email addresses. And so the workers are able to be contacted through email.
Yep. And all departments are going through the same exercise of reconstituting what our customer service profile is going to be going forward. This is how we're trying to define our new normal, which is, efficiency is a byproduct. The issue is improved customer service and improved productivity.
And I feel like we were ahead of the curve because we were talking about telework, and maybe a year and a half ago we had that presentation and a whole entire meeting that was focusing around the culture of telework and how to get people to invest in it and believe that it's a good thing and whatever. And the pandemic forced our hand, but in a way, I think that we were already looking ahead and thinking that might be the solution to our money, not our money, the solution to our space problem, which is caused by money.
Yeah. Don't take this the wrong way. That one of the cliches that I would say privately is, don't waste a good pandemic. Right. I mean, I know that's a little dark humor, but the point is still valid. To Mary's point about, that it is forcing us to think differently about how it is that we can actually work better to provide good service at a cheaper cost to the taxpayer. So, which will play itself out to benefit, how we can reinvest in expanded services differently than we otherwise could have. So anyway.
And maybe social services will serve as an example for other departments across the county. I mean, the school system or human resources, or do the jobs actually have to be done in the office location right across the hall from your coworkers, or can they be done from home? And would that save us a lot of money? Because I know the county has been talking about office space and the priority of how we needed more, or having to pay to renovate or reconfigure what we already have. And it could just be that in the short term that's not going to happen, that telework would be our solution. So.
Yeah, and that is happening. All departments are going through the same exercise. Social services, just because of the nature of his work, is a leader. Of course, they're a leader in a lot of respects, but I would also say just because of the work that their staff does. Community development's another one where there's a lot of opportunity for remote working. We've already canceled 2 leases for outside spaces and brought those offices back into the county office building. And we have canceled we have reconfigured our space needs analysis to look at how, to your point, Mary, how we better use our existing space with this new telework environment, rather than how we're going to expand space for the future. And so, so those are things that are direct outcomes of our current experiences kind of going forward. There are, services like, fire rescue and police that are hard to kind of move the needle on that. But there are others that that we can make a big change in how we provide those services.
And I would just add, Doug, that to some degree, we're doing that in concert with the schools, because the schools
Oh,
are.
absolutely. Oh, sure. Yeah.
So it really is. It's not just our side of the aisle, so to speak, but it's the school side as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Amy, that was it for your questions? Yes. Okay, I did in my notes from the information items, I had a question about Bright Stars, and this was spurred by reading through the minutes of the last meeting. Is there any plan, or are they even considering doing any virtual Bright Stars activities or classes next year? Like the school system is going to offer a special virtual kind of school setting. Is Bright Stars included in that or not really?
I'll have to check on that. I don't know, but I'll reach out to Carol and find out.
Okay. And then the next item I had a question about was number 2, and it is letter A on the information items. It was about the bonus bucks program, which is really intriguing to me. Incentive payments to property owners to try to get them to work with voucher holders. Could you give a little bit more detail about that? Like how much of an incentive is it? And is there are a lot of people taking advantage of it, or are we having to kind of convince them to do it?
Well, it's very brand new. You know, our new rental assistance coordinator, Carter Walker started 3 weeks ago or so, and that was her first project. And so I literally approved it maybe a week and a half ago. So basically what we're trying to do is historically landlords have been hesitant to rent to families or individuals receiving a housing choice voucher. There's a stigma attached to it. There's a lot of prejudice against those customers. And so the idea is to offer an incentive, a financial incentive to the landlord to say, if you'll agree to rent to this family X, then we will provide this monetary amount. I think it's somewhere in just like 100 or so, and it's being funded. Philip could give more explanation how he's drawing that down with the funding, but he and Carter have already met with one landlord, and they met at a coffee shop, and they're just trying to reach out, and so far the landlords have been very receptive to it. I think it's something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. We just never had the resources or kind of the person to manage it, and Carter has taken it and run with it. So we probably in 6 months I can give you a lot more information about how many landlords have accepted it, and how much money have we spent, and how many additional leases have we been able to facilitate with that. But we're really excited about it, and again, so far the receptivity has been positive.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. It did make me think that we could maybe tweak, it wouldn't be so much money, but something like that to try to encourage people to accept the childcare voucher, because I know in the past we talked about how the shortage of people who will accept the childcare voucher, and really just childcare positions in general in the county, was making it hard for some of our people who want to return to work, who have children, who can't unless they can find a place for their child to go. So I don't know if they would consider, or if you would consider an incentive program like that, obviously a lot smaller, because I think more money, well, actually with the price of childcare, I don't know, but I would think that more money is going into housing rather than childcare subsidies.
Well, the state, I learned last week that the BDSS just drew down a significant chunk of money for early childhood development, and that's including childcare from the feds. And it just, we're waiting to kind of see, okay, how much of that will trickle down to the local level, how much will go to providers. So it could be that if we receive some kind of funding, we could ask whether we could use it for that purpose. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. The last note I had was just going to talk about the telework positions and how cool that was. So we already talked about that. We don't need to do that. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight in the information items for us?
I don't think so. I mentioned about the funding for the in-home services positions is confirmed, and that we'll be going before the board to request position for the administrative support for housing, which will in turn help us draw down additional HUD dollars for more leases because of the fact that we have staff capacity to manage those with the clerical support. So, and that's fully funded by the administrative fees, except for about 2,000, which is already budgeted in our FY22 budget. So we're really excited about that. I think that's really going to move the needle in terms of getting more vouchers out to Albemarle County residents.
You know, if I can just make a comment while we're talking about childcare. I know back in the day when I was on the school board, we tried numerous times to reach out to the University of Virginia because, of course, they have numerous childcare centers in our community, asking that they provide some slots for children in our community, not a lot, but asking that, and we were unsuccessful. Different administration now, I just don't want to lose track of those facilities that do occasionally have openings. And there are a lot of UVA employees that are looking for slots for their children. So just to keep in mind, maybe outreach to those childcare providers as well.
I think what Mary was saying is the biggest hurdle is the facility's willingness to take the subsidy because it's lower.
I agree, but at the same time, UVA could provide. We've asked for scholarships or for the ability for them. I'm just saying, you never get it if you don't continue to ask.
No, I'm with you.
And it is a different administration now at the university than it was when we were trying before. So just a thought.
I will definitely pass that along. Great point.
Yeah, I'll text Jim Ryan about that and ask him, see. I'm just kidding. I don't text him.
You know, it's one of the things that since he's been in office, he has been talking about more outreach to the community. And
Yes.
So if you never ask, you never get. Just saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Well taken.
That is true. Thank you. Amy, did you have something you wanted to say?
Actually, I forgot this. You know, there's that, I think it was called the Blue Parade for foster care. Are you guys gonna put that in the newsletter of Albemarle County?
It'll go, yeah, I'm sure it'll go on the website. Yeah, it's an annual thing. They put,
Is it the Blue Bird?
yeah, and then they have put blue ribbons in the trees downtown in the mall.
Yeah.
But
That'd be
I'm sure that'll go out in all the different social media that the county uses.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, then I think that's it for our information items for today. So we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is Doug Walker and Lorna Jerome.
Well, I did hear Phyllis say that she was going to come back in 6 months for an update. So maybe we're jumping the gun here. I'm not sure.
I heard that
That's
too.
right.
Okay. All right. I'm just, maybe she was kidding, but
Yeah.
no,
I caught that too, Doug.
I'll send somebody.
yeah.
We'll pencil you in on the agenda.
Bye, everyone. I'll see you in June.
Bye. Thank you. Doug and Lorna, would you like to introduce yourselves and intro your topic for today?
Sure. Doug Walker, Deputy County Executive. And I believe, Lisa, do you have a presentation that you can kind of pull up? And I'll let Lorna introduce herself while Lisa's doing that.
Doug, because I'm taking the notes and everything, I don't,
All right.
I have the PowerPoint. I mean,
Lorna, can you share it?
I believe I can.
Let's see what we can do here.
okay.
And Laura, do you want to go ahead and reintroduce yourself?
Yes, Lorna Jerome, Director of Human Resources for both the counties and the schools. What are you guys seeing?
So thank you for the opportunity, Mary and advisory board members. What we wanted to do, you've heard me give a few updates, or at least one, on our process for our search for the Director of Social Services. And I know you appreciate the difficult task that we have in trying to replace Phyllis. For those of you who know and knew Kathy Ralston when she was here, you'll appreciate the challenge we had in replacing her. And the fact that we got Phyllis to replace Kathy gives us some confidence that we can do this. And Lorna and I worked on that process, and we're very, very fortunate to be able to have Phyllis as a candidate, and she's been of course fabulous. But here we are again with trying to select a leader of this very large, incredibly important department for the foreseeable future. Lorna and I do have a process that we have used in a number of different recruitments over the last several years, where we put a lot of emphasis on the front end in developing the profile. And although late, what Lisa sent out just a little bit ago on to your email address is the actual profile that was advertised. So if you're unable to pull it up now, you certainly can pull it up later and take a look at it. And if we don't get, if something occurs to you in terms of what you'd like us to know, then after you review that information, then please email Lorna and or I, and we'll make sure that we get that. But what we wanted to do was to give you an overview of what our process is, and then really engage with you on your thoughts about what you might be seeing, what you might want to see in the next director. We do this throughout the process. On the front end, we've had we've had a survey with staff, we've had focus groups with staff, we've met with their management team, which is about 16 of the middle managers. We've had some community members participate. And that helps to develop the attributes that you see in the position profile. From this point, though, and until we actually get through the entire process, we use the input to help with developing the questions that we'll ask of candidates, helping to perhaps to frame a question that we would ask them to prepare a short essay on. We'll ask them to be doing a presentation in one of their panel interviews. So all of this input helps us to kind of frame out the types of information that we would want these candidates to demonstrate or qualities they demonstrate in the course of the process. And then as we're checking references, we'll use those questions to help pull out what we call the look-fors. So you see the stakeholder input on the left, which has occurred. And we're now, the position is now posted, and then we'll be getting into a pretty extensive selection process. Lauren, I believe is it next week when it closes?
Closes Friday, the 12th.
Closes Friday, so which is telephone screenings and then a series of different steps to try to get down to the preferred candidate. So we can answer questions about the process if you'd like. What Lorna is prepared to do is to go from here and actually engage with you on some prompting questions to solicit your feedback or input on what you think the attributes are we should be looking for, and what you think the challenges and outlook is for the department that we should be aware of as we get into framing out those questions, essay questions, presentation topics. For the selection process. Lorna?
The only thing I'd add to your very comprehensive summary is that Doug and I tried to be very intentional about it being inclusive in this process and thoughtful about who we were reaching out to in terms of getting a broad stakeholder input. We were able to partner with the Center for Nonprofit Excellence to reach some groups that we don't ordinarily. And we, instead of just the two of us working on it, we brought in some other folks, our Siri Russell, our Director of Equity and Inclusion, Dr. Daphne Kaiser, who works with me here in HR, many school administrator searches, and then one of our office team here, Lauren Hawkins, to get some different views and different feedback. And it has resulted into some changes to the process. So that said, we really would like to hear from you. And
Yeah, and I probably thank you, Lauren. We've done this a bunch, and we're really good at kind of just doing the tag team. But it's probably worth pointing out that if you do look at the job description, hopefully what you would notice is that there's an intentional broadening of the expectation of this individual to do more than just run a social services department. There's a little bit, there's language of expectation about a broader view into the human services arena. We don't have a human services department in Albemarle, at least not yet. But with the closest we have is social services, and the role that social services plays often is in connecting with those partner agencies, the nonprofits and others in the community that kind of complete and complement the full health and human services arena. We are trying to be intentional in attracting high quality candidates, a diverse pool of folks who have some of that broader experience, we hope, rather than just kind of running a department, but actually connecting to the broader community so that we can make those connections between the work of the department and the fullness of the trying to address the many needs that we understand exist within Albemarle County and the region. So I don't know if that's clear or not, but you'll see that language in the job description. And we are hoping that we attract candidates who see themselves as connecting to that type of work and having a broader connection to the community. Phyllis has done this a bit with her with the last restructuring where Mary was appointed as deputy director and they created 2 assistant directors. Mary spends more of her time actually focused on running the social services function with Wanda and with Alice. And then Phyllis then is freed up she works a lot with Siri and others at more outward looking into the community, making those connections. So we're just trying to capture some of that in our expectations. So I'll stop there with a lot of words and then let Lorna then step back in and facilitate the input session.
great, thank you, Doug. Again, we really would like to hear from you all about what you're looking for in a director. Well, I have 2 questions here. What attributes are important for the next director, and what technical skills and experience? So I want to just take a minute and explain, what we mean by attributes. Those are the soft skills, like, for example, empathy or sense of humor. Those are the characteristics that are important from where you sit to a leader in this role. Whereas technical skills and experience are more around the kinds of positions someone's held or the education and their knowledge. So I'm going to open it up and ask that we first think about those attributes. And if you would just let us know what you think. Lisa is going to take notes here so that, as Doug said, we can use this information as we build our selection process.
So I can start, I guess.
Thank
Doesn't
you.
really,
Thank you,
everybody
Linda.
jump in whenever you want to. But one of the things that I just really admire about Phyllis is her ability to answer a question and not make you feel stupid. Even if it's a stupid question, or even if it's something she has already just said 5 minutes before, so I'm not sure what to call that attribute, but I think it's really important. Obviously, this is like a field where you're interacting with people a lot in a lot of different capacities. And in this role as a board member, I just been learning. And so I have a lot of questions that may seem like common sense to other people. And so I've always admired that about her. And I think that's a super important quality for whoever takes her place.
Great, thank you. I don't know if there's one word to sum that up, but I think you.
Well, I don't know. I call it grace.
Grace.
I think I call it, she demonstrates a grace that is that enables her. I agree. I laughed, Mary, because you captured that very well.
Catherine, I think you're muted. Catherine, we can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I knew Kathy Austin, of course, you knew Doug. And Phyllis fit right in. So do we have another possibility of in-house people that already have those type of attributes? Or do we really have to go beyond the agency?
Well, we've opened it up. There may be people in the agency that do apply, but again, trying to get as inclusive as a process as we can. We try to have a wide scope of the recruitment process because we really want to get the very best candidate. And sometimes that's internal and sometimes it's external.
Right, that's my question. Do we have that? Was it open up internally
Yes,
as well?
yes.
Oh, absolutely. And I did meet individually with the 4 assistants with Mary and Alice and Wanda and Kevin, just as a professional courtesy, just to kind of really try to remove any awkwardness so that they would kind of figure out how best to participate in our processes, frankly, if they were interested in, perhaps even competing. So there was a direct outreach from me to them I'm not going to, they'll make their own decision, but just to facilitate their consideration of how they might want to proceed if they're interested in the job. Frankly, I did the same with Phyllis and when Kathy left the agency.
Any thoughts on what would be an important attribute?
I actually, I knew Kathy too. And I feel like it's like, I call it like competence with compassion.
Oh, I like.
They are competent of the issues and compassionate enough to be able to explain it to people that are just new to I was on that commission for children and families.
Oh.
And there was so many people around the table. It could be really intimidating. And they were, Phyllis and Kathy, honestly, were so great at being welcoming and explaining things that you could actually understand what was happening. So I think, and I also, I quickly read through your ad. So I love that you guys have put in there that you will be a public face for the county and the agency, because I think that's really important. You don't want just someone that is focused on the nuts and bolts, but also how can they communicate it with other people. So, I just would say competence with compassion.
Great, thank you.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Catherine. I'll go after you.
The other thing that really, because I actually knew Karen Morris, then Kathy, then Phyllis.
Oh, wow.
But because I worked on a board with them a long time ago. But this is a new day, a whole brand new era of time. So the attributes that we're looking at, what Phyllis has, it's gonna be hard to compare, to really put somebody in that place like Phyllis or Kathy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really have to depend on you guys who are doing the choice to really look for all of those type of skills and attributes, everything that goes together in this person, because this new person coming in is going to have a brand new ball game to deal with.
That's
completely different than what Phyllis or Kathy or any of us. I mean, it's with this pandemic and with all that's going on now, everything is just so different. So whoever gets to be chosen is going to be having a whole new job that we've never really experienced before.
That's a great point. And then one of the questions a little later is what are the issues what are the 3 pressing issues facing our community the next director should address? So I think what you're saying is speaking to that a little bit. But were there other comments on the attributes?
I have one, and I'm not sure again how I would put this into like a word or a phrase. But I feel like I've seen a lot of really successful directors or leaders of organizations who surround themselves with people who are just positive and only give them support and positive feedback, and they're not seeking any sort of criticism or negative feedback. And I think that that's something that is necessary for a strong leader of any size organization to be able to say, here's my plan. I need someone to tear this apart and tell me everything that you can find that's bad about it and everything you think that can go wrong. And for them to not take it personally and not, get offended or whatever, because being surrounded by yes men, as we say, is not necessarily a good thing. And you can continue on that path for a really long time. And I don't think that this is what Phyllis has done. I don't want to make that seem like that's what I'm saying at all. I hope that whoever the next candidate is the type of person that seeks someone to tell them no and someone to poke holes in what they're trying to do. Because in the end, it makes you stronger as a leader and it makes your entire plan stronger for the organization.
That's an excellent point as well. So let's talk a bit about what kind of background, what technical skills and experience do you think would be important for the next director?
I don't know how much technical, besides all the computer programs, all the vast amount of stuff on the computer that they have to do. I'm sure it's changed over time of all the different ways that the data are stored and all the different communication things. I don't know. Hopefully someone else has a better idea about what technical skills is needed.
Well, the staff have a lot of ideas about that. So we just want to get your thoughts, if you have any. If not, we can go to some of the other areas that might be more of interest for you all. But I do want to give you a chance if there's something you'd like to add here.
I think a lot of this is execution. Like, how do you, the programs sometimes are federal or state, and making sure that the experience is client-based. I don't know how, it's almost like customer service in a way. So I think though the technical skills are just the experience of all the things Mary was talking about, but with the mindset that the end user, the person you're helping, felt like they're part of the process. And
This word experience, where it says what technical skills and experience, do you mean experience in the job?
Well, some of the other focus groups, people have said, well, I think it's really important that they have had experience directing a large department or being an assistant director in a large department, that kind of thing. Or then we get more specific, like, well, I think they need to have had experience in eligibility or in child welfare. So we just like to hear, what the thoughts are.
Yeah, some have felt that because social services is such a highly regulatory environment that they be well grounded in that regulatory practice, and others says, well, no, that's really not that important. They need to have more of the softer skills, relationship skills, the connection skills. So it's just a perspective on how grounded they are on the technical side. Phyllis will be the first to tell you that she is not a master of all the financial aspects of social services, and she wasn't hired for that. But some may think that no, the person really needs to have a command on the complexities of the financial aspects of running social services. So that's kind of what we're trying to get at as a kind of the characterization of the technical skills.
And you all may not have strong feelings about that.
Some of the staff did and shared them, and we tried to kind of capture that also.
I have a question. Sorry, Amy.
That's okay.
You want to go ahead?
Well, I was just going to say, in terms of the funding and things like that, You know, that's something that nobody thinks of, but it has to be done. So obviously, if it's not going to be the director, you hope you have a strong person on the team that is understanding, because that can just, you know, it's one of those things that doesn't matter until it does, and then maybe it's too late.
Great point.
Yeah.
Did you have another comment that you wanted to add here, Mary?
Well, it did occur to me that so much of what Phyllis does, I mean, it's Virginia specific.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure if there's a big advantage, or if it would be considered necessary that the person that takes her place is super familiar with how Virginia does this, because it would just be so hard to learn that while on the job. So, I mean, that's not necessarily answering your question. That's just a question I have to you about the process, I guess.
Yeah, about how important is Virginia experience. Again, I think it goes to your team and the expertise you have around you. And we have a very strong team in social services, so it might not be as critical for the person coming in to have that as it might in a department where you didn't have that grounding. So I really would like to hear from you all in the next couple questions, particularly this first one. What do you see as the 3 most pressing issues facing our community that the next director should address? Catherine was starting to talk about a few.
Oh yeah, Catherine, go ahead.
No, I was just sort of getting ready to say, I think I've already gave my issue a little bit on some of that. I don't know that it's 3 most impressive issues. It's got to be a people person, someone who not only can deal with the public, but can deal with their work surroundings in a whole different time.
Mm-hmm.
So, to be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea what the 3 pressing issues, because there are a lot of issues that I can see that they would be facing. Most of all, I think it has to be someone who knows the department and knows the different department, you know, what social services is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to communicate with each department, the eligibility workers and the front door, you know, people and whatever, because if you don't know your job, you can't do it very well. Mm-hmm. And speaking from experience, I know we get a lot of people coming in. During the time I worked for Albemarle County, they come in and they want to change everything and they want to do this and want to do that, and they don't know the job.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is one of the worst people to put in leadership. Mm-hmm. You got to know what you're doing before you try to work with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I kind of think if we're looking at this really broad strokes, or, you know, like there's so many different departments, like the housing, the age, you know, the elderly, the children. But if we look at what, I always think of the funding streams too with this. Like we know that the federal government is looking at putting in a lot of money for pre-K and help, you know, childcare. So obviously that is an area that may be a growth area, you know, and then we think of our housing, all of the discussion that's going on locally about how to get the vouchers, get more money. Is it going to be privately owned? Is it going to be publicly owned? So someone that can be kind of talking about that kind of stuff. And then when you think of the elderly, a lot of people want to age in place. And what kind of services are we providing for that to happen? And then over all of that is the equity piece. We want to make sure that we have people in positions that look like everybody around us, right? So keeping that as kind of the top. And then I think of those 3 categories. you know, that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Great. Thank you. And we just put 3 as a kind of a conversation starter. If you don't have 3, that's okay. Or if you have 4, that's all right as well.
Yeah, I think it's something that continually is a topic of discussion, at least here among board members and in our presentations, that in the presentations that are given to us, is talking about housing and affordable housing, available housing, safe housing. That is something that I know it's not only specific to Charlottesville, but in this particular area with rents and house prices and things like that, it's becoming more and more concerning. And so I think that it does just make the inequities even more apparent, because it's we have waiting lists that are so long, you know, and like in one of our information items today, it was saying like we have a goal to have 20 more vouchers available to people, but it's like, yeah, but 20 out of how many are still waiting? Like how many are still left? I feel like in the last, however, I can't remember how many years I've been on the board, 3 or 4, that we've made progress, but it's been so small. And so I would hope in this community that we're the type of community that's going to prioritize doing more than just making incremental progress. And I know that that's not up to a director of social services to make that progress, but they are a key component in both the information that we're sending out to the community and the money that we're pulling in, and you know, decision making in general. So housing constantly comes up. I think that that's a really big issue. I don't know if I would describe, you know, Albemarle in general as having like a child protection or adult protective services problem, but it is super important that we do that, and we do that really well, because if you mess that up, you can't fix it later. I feel like, so I always, I don't want to say enjoy, I am always very interested to see those reports and to read them and to learn about that process and to just be able to ask questions. And I feel like we do a very good job, in particular with our family placements and kinship placements for kids in foster care. So just personally for me, I think that child protective services and adult protective services are something that I know they're going to continue to be a priority, but that's something that always pops into my mind when I'm thinking about the Department of Social Services. And then, yeah, I don't know how you encapsulate general inequity in a community, but we have so many very, very wealthy people in this county, and then we have so many very, very poor people. And I wish that there was a way that we could make it so that everyone's needs are met, no matter what they are or how much income they make, or, you know, where they live or anything like that. And I know it's not necessarily up to social services to do that, but I don't know how to put that into.
No, I think yeah, it's just focusing on the economic disparity in the community, giving attention. Yeah. Thank you all. The next question goes from broad to kind of specific. So you may or may not have thoughts on this, but if there are initiatives you'd like to see implemented in the director's first year, you know, what would be important to you? Kind of feeding off what we said were the most pressing, but you might say, well, that's for the director to figure out. But we do like to hear your thoughts on that question.
Could we have an example of an initiative that has been done in the past?
Looking to Doug to see if he wants to weigh in on that one, but he's muted. You're muted, Doug.
I'm so seldom muted.
True.
Most recently, an initiative was to recombine the housing planner back into the housing office in order to create a better connection, a better synergy with that function. So the Stacy Pethia physician who was in CDD, who's completing the housing plan, housing policy for the board, connecting with Philip on the housing program side. So that is I think a very specific initiative intended through social services overarching leadership to try to drive our housing programs and housing policy together as we kind of try to figure out, how to make those improvements. So that would be an example.
I know there was an initiative of housing policy and education policy kind of coming together. Actually, that's not, I'm just giving that as something I've attended their conferences. I'm not sure if that would be in the Department of Social Services, but there's so much overlap on so many of these things.
Mhm,
I actually think a really strong partnership with the schools,
mhm.
especially with mental health issues, seems really important, especially right now.
Do we have a hard stop at 4:30 for this meeting?
No, it
No.
goes to 5.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. Also, this might be the kind of thing you think of something later, and if you do,
Yeah.
feel free to email me or Doug and let us know. Sometimes it's hard to think of something on the spot, but later something comes to your mind.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
There was a lot of discussion about social impact bonds. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's a way to have investment into public good by private enterprise, like pay for preschool, because if children go to preschool, they're less likely to be in special ed. Actually, I've attended their conference every year. Yes, here it is. So the thing in Virginia is that we only primarily look at children's kind of welfare in these bonds, but I actually think what we should do is expand into some of the public housing investment we need. We need to improve. Well, there's so many studies out there about people, children in public housing that have asthma and they're dealing with mold. We need investment to improve the housing stock. And we could prove that by improving housing stock, children and families are healthier, they're more likely to go to work, they're more likely to go to school. That's kind of what a social impact bond is. It's like improving one aspect to improve the greater good. And it's difficult to get really going because you also need the state to be approving some of this. But the social impact bonds could be really transformational to some of the, funding situations.
Innovative. So why don't I just open it up and see if there are any comments you have or feedback in terms of what you think would be important in the director or anything you can think of in terms of what we might want to consider in our selection process.
I will just prompt perhaps with an acknowledgement that recovering from the pandemic is going to create its own unique set of challenges for a department like social services in trying to understand how best to continue to support those that are suffering the most. Some of it has been covered up a bit. I think with the CARES CRF money and maybe even the ARPA money coming in, we'll see how we're able to use that. But there's going to be an underlying shift, I believe, in our local economy that's going to be impactful. We're spending a lot of money to pay landlords so that they don't evict people. Well, at some point that money is going to run out, and where are they and where are we as a county and community and being able to support? So I don't know if that prompts any thinking or not, but it certainly shares something that's on my mind that we're going to be dealing with at some point. I'm not sure if it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or longer, but I think there's some fundamental shifts in our economy that are going to appear and create areas of vulnerability that we have not really experienced yet.
I think you're right.
I'm wondering, when the director or whoever is chosen as the new director comes in, is there an overlap where Phyllis is training this new person for a certain amount of time, or they're shadowing her, or there's some sort of like week where they might work together or something, or is it really like she's gone and they arrive?
Yeah, it's the latter, and that's generally, I think, certainly what would be my preference. It's a very strong department. So with Wanda and Alice and Mary and Kevin and all their the middle management staff, it is very strong, and so there's not a concern about instability. I will say though that I know Phyllis and I have had this conversation. She would be willing to be available to provide support. We can't do that until after. I know, Lorna. I mean, Lorna's doing this because we're not supposed to talk about that. VRS frowns upon making any types of those commitments, so I can't do that. But just as Kathy has provided support for Phyllis, kind of after the fact, I do think that I think we should expect that support will be there if and as it's needed. Was that okay, Lorna? Was I careful enough?
That was very nicely said.
Right.
You didn't say anything about paying, so it actually was. Okay.
No, I don't want to get in HR trouble.
Well, we really appreciate this opportunity to hear your thoughts today.
Yeah, and keep them coming.
Yeah.
I don't know if Lisa can, if you have our email addresses, Lorna and I are both in the distribution from earlier. So we're not hard to get a hold of. If you think about it and look through the job description, the profile, the attributes, something occurs to you, please let us know. This is very important as we now construct our tools that we'll use for the selection process.
How long does the process take? Like, when do you think it's actually going to be complete?
Lorna's got a plan.
Yeah, I have us in June. That's our hope. We have a series of interviews that are already, we have date holds on the calendars in early June, and then there's, extensive reference checking. But we're hoping that it will be, we'll finalize the process in June. Certainly, generally, candidates need a significant, at least 30-day notice.
Right.
So probably there wouldn't be the overlap with Phyllis. But, it may be August before someone actually starts.
Yeah.
And how many applicants have you already had? Or can
That's
you?
a great question. I wish that because our social services with the county is partially deviating from the state, we partner with the state to do the recruitment. And I checked with her like early last week, and there were 14, but she said that generally people come in later to the closing date. So I haven't checked with her this week.
That's a good number.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering so is the pay, or sorry, I can't think of the salary, is it based on a state?
No, the partially deviating is around compensation, fortunately.
Okay.
I say that. That's set by the county.
Okay. Is that like comparable to other counties our size? And
yeah, we do market studies to make sure that it is.
It's.
Okay. I was also wondering, are you going to have the assistant directors? Is anybody on the staff going to be helping with the interviewing, or?
We do have staff built in to different places on the panels. Some are in the kind of the subject area triad. So,
yeah, we've tried to pull staff from different areas of social services to try to I won't say insert them, but put them in the different aspects. We've got some triads, we've got some panels. So it's a sprinkling. We're trying to sprinkle DSS staff throughout because of their subject matter expertise. And it just we think it creates a much better process to have them connected as really representatives of the larger group. They've all been invited to participate. We've had particularly the survey, got great response on the survey, not so much on the focus groups, but you know, I think staff feel like that they've had ample opportunity to let their voices be heard.
The survey, we had nearly 140 responses.
Yeah.
So we're really pleased with the feedback we got. That was community and staff, but still we felt good about that.
Is the contract yearly, like you have to sign every year? Or is it?
No, it's really, it's like employment at will. I mean, accept a job, and Virginia's still employment at will. Right.
Yeah, it's what we call it's a classified. So it's you know, it's like other employees of the county. So it's not contractual.
Oh, okay. Is there a probationary period, or it's just full on?
6 months is by policy.
Okay.
Is this something where, I apologize if we're completely going off on a tangent.
No, it's
You all
fine.
didn't have on your slides.
Oh, I was finished with the slides. So
Okay.
great.
Before the pandemic, if we were in the before times and we were replacing Phyllis, would the candidates or the final few people, would they have come here and would they have met and interviewed in person and toured around? And now is it all being done virtually?
Oh, what a great question.
Virtually to a point, that for the final candidate, we certainly would want them to come in and have some 6 feet away FaceTime and see the organization. So it'll be a nice blend of like we would have done this in person or the other focus groups. And I think for some places in the recruitment, it's really nice to be able to do things virtually. But when you get down to it, we do think we want the face-to-face.
It's a great question. We certainly talked about that and are comfortable to a point because of how good we've become at this format. But only to a point, because you lose so much in the actual communication with the nonverbal, you know, the waving of the hands and all that. You know, two dimensions only gets you so far.
Sure.
And this is a little bit unrelated, but when we have a candidate that's not from the area, we really take time to understand who that person is. Doug spent significant time out west when we hired our community development director, interviewing beyond the script of the 3 interviews someone provided. How many did you end up?
Yeah, I did 18 interviews out there.
Wow.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a big decision, right? This is a big decision. So, and it's coming from so far away. It's hard. My spies don't go that far. So I had to go out there and do it myself. So.
Well, I want to be respectful of your time, and I really appreciate the presentation. I think it was great. I just appreciate being a part of the process, even though I know we probably didn't say anything that's going to change what you're going to do.
I put a few nuggets in there that I hadn't heard before. I really did. So it's great. Thank you.
So if we have any other thoughts or if we have any other questions, we will reach out to you via email. Amy, you want something to say?
Actually, this wasn't to do with Doug or Lorna. Thank you very much for
You're
giving.
welcome. I'll go ahead and sign off then. I really appreciate your time and the great.
Good to see you, Lauren.
Thanks, Lorna.
Thank you.
You know, I wanted to just say that I'm having a lot of hard time getting all the information for the meeting. Like, I'm afraid that I'm always missing something. Does anybody else feel? I think, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to streamline it, and I don't want Lisa to have to like reinvent the wheel. I'm just, you know, sometimes it's hard to find the Zoom link, which is a separate email than the PowerPoint, then the minutes and then the information item. Is there, I don't want to be cumbersome. Is there a way to just have it all in one or two? Because I'm sorry, I'm getting so many emails and I'm trying to be really careful.
The problem sometimes is like they wouldn't let me have the PowerPoints.
All right.
Sometimes like Sarah would not give us the PowerPoint last time until the day of the meeting.
Right.
I can attach. The Zoom webinar is totally different from Zoom meeting. I don't think I can attach documents to it, but I could be wrong.
But if
Or
everybody,
maybe just send the webinar link until the day of the meeting. I mean, because I don't necessarily need the Zoom link days ahead of time, because I am searching for it on the day of the meeting, like, oh, I'm scrolling through, where did it go? And then I find it. So you could wait to send that until the day of. But yeah, I think, Amy, this time in particular, there were just a lot of emails with different
Well,
stuff that
yeah,
were.
and some of that was certainly on me because we did throw a lot of stuff at Lisa right at the last minute on this, and that's just on me, and so I apologize for that, and we'll do better if I'm ever put in this position again.
know
But
that
I can't speak to kind of the larger issues that you're having about kind of coordinating with materials, but
I know it's really hard because you're waiting on everybody. I remember on the school board, it was the same thing. I'm just bringing it up because I feel so bad if I miss something.
yeah.
No, I mean, I thought it was better to send them out early, but if it's better to send them out the day of the meeting, I can do that. Let's just hope I don't forget, and
Well,
then I'll never get it. But I mean, I could send the Zoom thing out the day of the meeting. I
I'm
tried.
fine.
Super.
I'm fine with them. You send them early because the PowerPoint, the last thing you said, as you know, I didn't even see it till I was talking to you. I couldn't get on, so Lisa was helping me, and then I saw something she sent me. Something today. I had seen it the other.
And then there's also the option of sharing in the, I don't know if you can, or sharing a file to us while we're in the meeting. So if there is something that was sent to you at the last minute or whatever, and we don't necessarily have to have it ahead of time, you could just wait until the meeting has started and put the link in the chat, and then we can open it right then. And then we could see it. But yeah,
I think the big thing for me is the Zoom link because I'm constantly terrified that I'm not going to find it, even though I've pinned it somewhere, and then I'm like, where was it?
Oh, yeah.
and then there's
I
this
get
message
that.
in the chat about going to the county calendar, which I am not sure I have ever done. So thank you so much for that. I will go find the county calendar. Oh, Doug, you didn't hear me say that. I look at the county calendar all the time.
Actually, I do
No
read
worries.
newsletters. If you're Doug, if you want feedback, the newsletters are really great and very informative. I appreciate it.
Yes, I do like those newsletters. So I guess we're at board member business. If there's any board members who wanted to share anything. I don't have anything.
Well, I had a question. What are we gonna do about Phyllis's leaving? Are we gonna say just
We're gonna
goodbye
be
and
at
go,
the
or
party.
as a
There's
board,
party.
as we
There's
as
a
a
party
board gonna,
17.
yeah,
You
as
will
a team,
get
I mean,
invitation.
what can we do? We're limited so much.
Is there a party, Lisa?
Yes, there's a party on June 17th. Y'all all gonna get an invitation.
Oh, great.
It's outside. It's at Penn Park. I can't really tell you anything more than that because I'm not.
What
really-
time is it? Did you say?
I want to say it's like 3 to 5:30
Oh,
or
that's
3:30
good.
to 5:30.
That's good. I have a church meeting after. That's good.
But it's
Yeah.
outside and they're gonna have, it'll be social distanced and I guess we have
Right.
to wear masks, but beyond that, I don't know.
Okay,
detail.
great.
By the way, should we get her some kind of gift from the board?
Well,
After some kind of-
I was thinking that, but I wanted to know if there was something.
And
Yeah,
I
let's
gave her a present today.
let's email
Me.
about that. Let's email about that among the board members outside
Okay.
of the meeting, and we can just bounce that around and see what some other folks have to say. I think that's a great idea, but I also just don't want to get her a tchotchke that's going to sit on the shelf. So let's try to think of what someone who has
Something she'll
just
use.
retired can use. It might be a gas gift card.
Maybe a vacation.
Yeah.
Yes.
She doesn't know yet, but the board will be presenting her a resolution at their meeting on June the 16th. So that will be another opportunity for advisory board members to participate in that meeting and virtually, clap and cheer.
Right.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. And aren't they meeting in person now?
No, the board of supervisors is not.
Oh, okay.
So we'll need to get a Zoom link for that.
That's a public, the public
Public.
link. So, yeah. So you should be able to find it. If you have any trouble at all, just either you can, I'd say kind of just go to Lisa Jordan, but she can also come to me. We can help out with that. So
Okay.
we get good participation using those links. So.
Okay. So then the only other thing I think we need to figure out is our message out to the board members. Were there any informational items that you all wanted to have highlighted? I know Phyllis normally does this, but she's not here. So if you want me to try to condense some things, what do you think we should point out to our specific board members?
Actually, I think that she's leaving and when her last day is, what the process, Lorna just said about, June 1st. It just seems like so quick. It's in like 2 or 3 weeks, but maybe.
Yeah, the board is aware. They have a copy of the action plan, so they're aware of the process. But certainly letting them know that we engaged with you to get some input and about look forwards, attributes and whatnot. I think that they would appreciate knowing that. That's just my contribution, Mary, if it's helpful to you.
That's great. That's all I was going to say too, is to let them know that Doug and Lorna
And the
shared.
success of the telework, all the people who have moved into telework.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay. All right. If you think of anything else, you can send it to me in an email. And I'm going to work on my email inbox organization, I promise.
Me too.
It's just a mess. But is there anything else we're supposed to do?
No, but do y'all want me to start sending the Zoom things on the day of the meeting?
I would personally.
Or do you want to try it on a probationary period and see how it goes?
Right.
Yeah.
It's fine with me because I usually call you anyway when I can't get on.
Oh, you call her? Oh,
I start early if I can't get on.
I think let's try the day of the meeting for maybe the next 2 or 3 meetings and see how it goes.
And let me try to attach, with my Teams and some of the Zoom, I can attach the documents to that. Let me see if I can attach it to the webinar. I don't know if I can. I'll try.
By the way, when is the next meeting?
The next meeting will be June 8th.
Okay.
And Phyllis's last day is actually June 25th, so she will definitely be at this meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we have to continue accepting the minutes from the last meeting. We'll continue that to the next meeting and hopefully we'll have a quorum then.
All right.
All right. Well, it was great to see all you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your
Good to see people.
participation. Thank you.
Have a good evening. We'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.